Charles Manson wanted to be a rock star, not a cult leader. If he'd never met the Beach Boys, would Sharon Tate still be alive? I'm Mel Z. I do deep dives into death, true crime, and weird pop culture stuff, so if you're a weirdo too, follow me. Charles Manson's life was chaotic from the start. He spent most of his childhood in and out of reform schools and spent much of his life in and out of prison. By the time he was released from prison in 1967, he was 32 years old, armed with a guitar, and convinced he was destined for music stardom. His songs are widely available and you can go listen to them. And even though you really don't want to say it, he kind of was talented, I guess. Everything changed for Charles Manson when he met Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys. The Manson family mostly served as staff in his Sunset Boulevard house. The amount of psychedelics that the Manson family was doing was concerning to Dennis Wilson, but eventually introduced Charles Manson to music producer Terry Melcher. Charles Manson recorded many songs at Brian Wilson's home studio, including the song Cease to Exist, which Dennis Wilson ended up reworking into a Beach Boys song, which wasn't credited to Charles Manson. Things started to spiral when, after this move by Dennis Wilson, the Manson family destroyed two of Dennis Wilson's luxury cars and stole a bunch of his stuff. Wilson tried to distance himself, but Charles Manson went after him, even sending him a bullet and leaving a threatening message with his housekeeper. By 1969, he wasn't chasing fame anymore, and now was just diving deep into his weird ideas and more into his cult. He became obsessed with the producer Terry Melcher and the rejection that he felt when, after hearing the songs that he recorded at Brian Wilson's studio, Melcher said that he wasn't interested in working with Manson. The producer Terry Melcher had lived at 10050 Cielo Drive, but had moved out recently, and Sharon Tate and her husband, Roman Polanski, had recently moved in unbeknownst to the Manson family. On August 8th, 1969, Manson sent the family to the property with the instructions to kill everyone inside. Sharon Tate and 4 others were brutally murdered inside the house. The next night, the family killed again. In total, they killed 9 people. Manson and his followers were arrested months later. In 1971, he was convicted of murder and sentenced to death. He spent the rest of his life in prison, dying in 2017 at 83. But it makes you think, if Charles Manson had never met the Beach Boys, maybe he'd just be a guy playing his weird songs on the beach.